that's what I'm going to start right now, but I'm actually going to use whole apples. I'm not going to slice them or dice them or anything else. This is a Tart tatin style apple tart, which means I caramelize sugar first, then layer the apples, and then puff pastry goes right on top. And I start with 3 tablespoons of water. There you go. Let me add a little more water to the cup. This I'll actually use for brushing the pot later on. And a full cup of sugar. I also need a little bit of lemon juice as the sugar starts cooking. The bit of acidity actually helps promote the sugar, coaxing it into its liquid form and staying liquid as it cooks. Brushing the sides of the pot will prevent sugar crystals from sticking to the side of the pot, because crystallizing sugar moves and grows just the way sort of frost grows on the window. If you get one little crystal granule, then another one grows, and another, and another, and another. But if you keep brushing water, you can actually clear it away. I love apple season. There's so many varieties to choose from, and some of my favorites for baking are Spy and Spartan, because they're really tart and tangy. I like Cortlands. They really keep their color well. All of these apples have in common that they hold their shape when being baked. Look at that beautiful color. I'm just taking it off the heat so it doesn't caramelize anymore. And I do have my dish ready. This is enough to fit the 4 apples, and I've buttered it. So as I pour in this sugar, the butter sort of melds with the caramel. Ooh, look at that. So I want to core the apple, but actually keep the apple intact. And I'll just trim the little bit of skin that's left on the apple. Because if you're cooking for your sweetie, it's all about the details. So if I were doing a traditional tart tatin, I'd quarter the apples and arrange them in the caramelized sugar. I'm actually going to take the whole apples and place them in the caramel. And I've got my oven preheated to 375 and let these apples cook for about 25 to 30 minutes. And then the bottom halves will have that toffee color. While those bake away, I'll start on the salted caramel sauce. And this time, half a cup of water, 3/4 cup of sugar, and instead of adding lemon juice or vinegar, I'm going to add sugar in its liquid form, white corn syrup. It's thick, but this has the same impact in cooking the caramel as the lemon juice does. So I like to pull my caramel off when it's a nice amber color, and then once I add the cream, it does darken up a fair bit. I can see how the bubbles are thickening up a little bit. They're starting to move a little slower. All of a sudden, it's almost a little off-white. So I can measure out 3/4 cup of whipping cream. And off it comes. But it immediately slows down the cooking of the caramel. Look at that rich color. Fleur de sel is the actual grains of salt in the natural salt drying process that float to the top. So their crystals are of a different character. They're quite delicate and fragile. And what's nice is they crunch, but then they immediately melt away. Look at that! And remembering that the sugar is hot, I want to take the time to flip the apples upside down. Oh my gosh, doesn't that look just spectacular? I've got a sheet of puff pastry, and puff pastry is the classic crust base to an apple tart tatin. And it's nice that these days you can buy it frozen but already rolled, so that way you know you get a consistent, even puff to the puff pastry. And I need to cut out a ring that's slightly bigger than this tart pan. About a 1/2 inch larger than the circumference of the pan itself. And just sort of loosely trace around, maybe a little bit bigger. It's important to dock the pastry with a fork. It's evenly, allows steam to escape, so it'll be nice and level. And and put this on the apples. Just gently tuck it in a little bit because I want it to capture all those toffee and caramel juices when I turn it upside down. And this is ready to go back into the 375 oven for another 25 to 30 minutes. After that's out of the oven, I'll pop my caramel sauce in the fridge and then start on my marvelous meatloaf for Michael.